What's up, Throttle family? We are back here today, and as you can see, we've got our Honda S2000. This is a 2006 model, silver on the outside, red on the inside. One of my favorite specs of all time. The only thing that would make it better is if it was white, but that's just a personal preference. Anyway, guys, we've been dying to do one of these for a long time, and we were waiting for something really exciting to come available for this car, and it has. So now is the time. We found the perfect specimen for a sweepstakes car. That's right, we're giving this one away.
Before we get to this parts mountain, guys, today is the start of the 2X entries in order to win this S2000 and $20,000 cash. So after you're done checking out all the parts in this video, make sure you head over to throtl.com, get yourself some parts for your car you might have already, and enter to win a second car, third car, however many cars you got. This one is a good addition to anybody's garage.
Yeah, if you've ever been on the fence about entering one of our sweepstakes, I would say now is the time, because I can tell you, we have been wanting to do this for such a long time that when it came time, the parts just kind of fell into our laps because we've had this built on paper for so long that it was like, okay, go. All right, here come the parts, because I already kind of knew in my head what we needed. And the team here has already put in their 2 cents and what they think this car should be. And we came into this, I think, the perfect S2000 for street and track use. So
yeah, normally there's a lot more haggling about what we do with the car, but the parts shelf for this filled up quick.
It was pretty straight.
I mean, he's rounded the bases on this a couple of times already.
Yes.
Like, you knew what was best, and all you needed was just kind of like our quick little,
we did the okay.
Yeah.
So without further ado, we've got a heap of parts on the floor here. Let's start in the front and go through what we have currently. And there's a couple things we're still missing, but we'll tell you guys about those. Still missing, but we'll tell you guys about those here. So let's start here up front where we have the most obvious thing and probably one of my favorite additions to this car. I love OEM aero on S2000s. They look awesome and very futuristic almost for the time period they came out. However, I think Spoon Sports absolutely knocked it out of the park with their aero line for these cars. It's a mix of street use and circuit use bumpers front and rear. On the rear, we've got something special to go along with that aero bumper that we'll show you guys when we get to the back. This to me is the ideal pieces for this car. They fit like OEM. Spoon always does a great job with their fitment. And the other nice thing is that Spoon Sports USA actually keeps this stuff in stock on the shelf, which is pretty amazing, being that they are big components.
Yeah.
So we were able to actually drive an hour-and-a-half north from our shop here, pick this stuff up from Spoon Sports USA, and bring it back here for the car. The other thing I really love about Spoon is that they really purpose-build everything. Even though this is a street or aero-style bumper, it has a full under tray, and it's replaceable. If you have a little off-track excursion, or you happen to pull out a Starbucks and ground out the front bumper, you can replace that piece quite easily. It does provide a little bit of extra aero for the front of the car without using plastic OEM componentry.
I can see exactly what you're talking about. When we're installing it, you guys will see, but there's, like you said, nut and bolt replacement parts for this. So there's like an under tray that's not only reinforcing the strength of this, but also providing that protection of this fiberglass.
Really nice components, very track focused, but also very streetable. We've also reached out to Cusco, which you guys have seen us use in the past. So Cusco is a great partner of ours. We sell a lot of their products on throtl.com. We literally have their full complement of products for this S2000 to stiffen the chassis and make it something that you're gonna wanna carve canyons in or take to the track. So we've got a front and rear strut tower bar here. We've got a front subframe brace here. We've got a rear chassis brace. We've got front and rear sway bars, and even have ladder bars for this thing.
Yeah.
So I say ladder bars is kind of an old school terminology, like more of a muscle car terminology, but this essentially is gonna bolt in to the unibody alongside what we call frame rails, but they're not, because it's a unibody car. It's just basically frame structure or unibody structure. It bolts in and it's gonna tie left and right side of the car together, and it's gonna make the complement of these things all work together nicely and give us a nice stiff chassis that we can take to the track or just have a really spirited drive on the road. So in typical Throttle fashion, we're able to source a new set of floor mats in red to match the carpets and the original floor mats that were in this particular interior. This is kind of a really cool interior with the red and black inserts. Not all red, which they do have as well. This is my favorite because it mixes the black with the red. It's not just so polarizing.
It's a tasteful, subtle addition of color in the interior.
Being able to source new mats is a really cool addition to this car, and it's something that we like to do with every car that we do here.
It's kind of gotten to the point where when we're finishing up a build, it doesn't feel like it's complete until we've laid in some of these nice mats that Mickey gets his hands on. And you guys will see when we take the seats out and really get into this build, we'll show you what the carpets are like, and that it's really worth eliminating odors or any kind of dirt and just kind of worn spots in the carpets by replacing things like this. It really just finishes it off nicely.
Yep, sure does. And so also, most of our previous projects lately, we've been using Recaro chairs. And so this car is also gonna be using those, and we're pairing those with a nice set of seat brackets that'll get the seats sitting nice and low. Again, this is a sports car, so we wanna continue that theme. It is really gonna be a shame to remove these OEM seats though, because they are reupholstered in real leather, red and black stitching, and this looks so cool.
I have yet to sit in a Recaro seat that I didn't think was like top notch though. We always have good experience with Recaro seats in any of the builds we do. So
yes, so far so good. And the ones that we have in these boxes are pretty special. So it'll be a nice addition to this car and keep that track/street theme going. We are also going to add a hardtop to this car. This is going to get painted body color and will be finished nicely so that it continues the flow of the sports car feel of this car. For me, this was a must. I do like driving this car with the top down, but a hard top for these cars actually really completes the look and really gives it that sports car, track car type feel. And then to round out the front end, we also have a vented Sabon carbon fiber hood. As you guys know, we use these on a majority of our builds here. They fit great, they look great, and they do shed a little bit of weight off the front of the car. Now this one might be a little bit of a wash because S2000s actually came with aluminum hoods, which is pretty cool. Kudos to Honda for that. This is a sports car, and you would expect that type of thought process to be involved with this. So the weight should be pretty comparable between the carbon fiber hood and the aluminum hood, but I think the carbon fiber hood adds a great aesthetic for this car with the vent. We chose a single vent. We didn't choose the traditional style hood that you would see on a modified S2000. This one's a little bit different in my opinion, so I think it'll give our car a pretty unique look. Now let's move around to the front.
So bringing it up to some of the electrical things, these have some really sharp looking headlights and taillights already. Projector style, good technology in them, but we can always improve on the light emission,
yeah,
which is
for
where
sure.
Morimoto comes.
One thing I want to add is a lot of people actually take the projectors out of S2000 headlights and use them for retrofits.
Yes, I've seen that several times.
So these are actually a really desirable projector. So pairing them with the Morimoto lights is going to be a huge, huge advantage in this setup.
So of course we have Morimoto bulbs that we're going to replace, get the cleaner look, higher output. They're going to be just a little bit brighter and probably a cooler temperature and really kind of just crisp this up a little bit.
For sure. And as usual, I've been driving this car around a little bit here and there to kind of figure out what needs to be fixed and replaced on it, as we always do. One of the things that I noticed and I really dislike about this current headlight setup is the running light is very yellow, or not yellow, but almost like, I don't know how you call it. It's very warm looking. It has like an orangey, old school halogen bulb look to it. And with this car, you really want that crisp, like that 5,000K, 6,000K just burner of a bulb in there. And this is gonna accomplish that and get rid of that old crusty look, which I think is not desirable.
So this is almost a 20-year-old car. And while it has good technology, upgrading some of the incandescent warm bulbs to something clean and pure white like that and just kind of bring it up to date, because everything is LED these days, you know, sequentials and everything. But while we don't want to reinvent the wheel, we can at least refresh it a little bit. So that's where we're going to bring in Morimoto and do that.
And with those great internals, just adding that extra light output is going to make these things perform really well.
Yep.
One of the things I see here that should have been discussed with our Sabon hood but got kind of skipped is the Greddy dampers for the hood. I love adding these because it allows you to get rid of the hood prop. Greddy offers these for a lot of different makes and models. Definitely cleans up the look aesthetically of the car. So this is a great addition, and this is something that we sell on Throtl, and we actually sell quite a few of these. It seems to be a pretty popular upgrade these days.
Yeah. What do you got here, bud?
Oh man, these are actually something really cool that I found. Pairing the spoon arrow with the stock body of this car, one thing, we didn't want to widen the front fenders and go with anything crazy, but I wanted to add a little look to it.
It's already almost got a wide body look just with how much these fenders kind of elbow out like that.
Yeah,
it's
they
really
kind of
cool.
come out really flat through here. Paired with an aero kit, I thought it needed something on the fender to actually punch it up a little bit. And so I started doing some research online, and I found these actually about 2 years ago. So these are from Belade Sports, and essentially what these are is it's a Porsche GT3 style vent for the fender. Now, it's gonna require us to cut the fenders on the front of the S2000, but I think this complements the body kit really well. It is also gonna double as an exhaust for the air that gets trapped in the wheel well. So we'll have to ventilate the plastic inserts in the wheel well to actually make these function. But that's something really simple for us to do here. And I think it will complement the aero kit quite nicely once it's punched in there.
Oh, yeah.
It's gonna really spice up the front of this car quite a bit more than it would just a stock fender. It's gonna allow us to keep a stock fender without going to a FRP or a carbon fiber fender, which don't always fit the best, and you run into, you know, just quality issues sometimes with some of that stuff. So this is a good, easy solution to add a nice look, a really racy look to the front end without going to an FRP or carbon fiber part, which I like because you can keep the gapping on the factory panels the way they are.
And of course, we love to use some BC Racing coilovers. These are BR series. They are fully adjustable as far as dampening and height adjustability. So these are kind of a no-brainer as far as throwing onto something that can just kind of be lowered a little bit, adjust the dampening, and just, again, add to the cornerability.
Right. So to keep that street track theme going, this is actually the perfect complement for this car. It's going to give us that really nice aesthetic, this low car. And we've got some other components that are going to work really nicely with this once we get the car to the ride height that we want, and we'll get to those when we get to the back.
Yeah. Always really sharp looking out of the box too. These are one of the better coilovers on the market.
Sure are. Now, this is one of the things that we have been waiting on to do one of these projects, and I'm so excited about this one. This is our Greddy 50 state legal turbo kit. In today's day and age of tuning, finding a turbo kit that you can bolt onto an NA car that actually is legal in all 50 states is nearly impossible. Greddy's been working on this kit for quite some time, and it finally got its EO number here in the state of California and the other states that require it. What I love about it is that they've basically given you a turnkey turbo kit package for the S2000 that's going to basically increase this car by, I think, over 60 horsepower, paired with a few other components that come in the kit. One of the things I love about this kit is the cast manifold. A lot of people don't like cast manifolds. I actually would prefer them and actually like them. And the reason for that is because a tubular manifold, a lot of times the welds will crack and break and you have to re-weld them. This cast manifold is efficient and is going to actually give us a lot of strength and durability. We're not going to have to worry about re-welding this ever. We can give this car away to the next sweepstakes winner and know that this is going to last the life of the vehicle. It's very concise, very small, and it's going to do its job perfectly, putting the turbo in the exact place that we need it. The other thing that I like is that Greddy was able to actually jig up and make really nice stainless steel downpipe and tubing to go with this kit. I mean, this literally looks like something that you would have fabbed up at a race shop. It's beautiful. We've got two O2 bungs here, and then this is going to bolt up very nicely to our Greddy exhaust system. So these components are meant to work together, and they were dynoed together, so we know that this is going to be a winning combination for this car. The other thing that's great about this turbo kit is they're actually using a Garrett core, and it already comes pre-welded with a 90-degree elbow. We've got an external wastegate already heat shielded. This kit is amazing. I mean, I could go on and on, but we will get further into detail when we do the install with Quinn on this. It does come with an intercooler, and it's going to lead me off into Deechworks as well. It comes with Deechworks injectors, and tuning comes from Honda, and it also is going to be using the Airinx dry air filter. So this is a very well-rounded kit. Like I said, you could literally turbo your S2000 over the weekend in your home garage. It's literally that easy. This comes with all the plumbing you need as well, water and oil lines for cooling of the turbo and lubricating of the turbo. This is a plug and play or bolt on affair, which is exciting. It's literally something we can do in probably a day here at our shop. We're gonna pair that with a Mishimoto oil cooler, which we'll get to later, to keep oil temps down and manageable, because when you do turbo and engine, it does increase that. We do want to add some components to the motor that are going to allow it to run confidently for a lot of years to come. And so we are going to be using a fluid damper. Again, we've been using these in a lot of our engine build series. We've had great luck with these. We're going to be working with fluid damper again on this one. If you guys aren't familiar with them, they are probably the go-to damper on the market for most engines. And when we do an engine build, we do like to use them because harmonically they help, and it's going to allow the engine to last longer and perform better. And that should lead you to believe that if we're adding this, we're probably doing some other things as well to the engine. You guys are gonna have to stay tuned for that. Now, moving forward, on the back of the engine, we've got a action clutch. You want to talk a little bit more about
action
that?
Clutch and flywheel is obviously, we're adding power in order to put that down with no clutch slippage or anything on an aged clutch. We have a flywheel and clutch package that obviously adapt this car to the added power.
Yeah, and what's cool is we told Action that we were turboing this car, and they actually came to us with a recommendation of what clutch to use to hold the power and still retain a pretty stock feel at the clutch pedal. A lot of times if you over clutch a car, you end up with this really heavy pedal that makes it an absolute nightmare to drive in traffic. And to continue with the theme of street/track car, this action clutch is sprung and is going to be a nice smooth pedal feel and not so heavy as what you would get from like a full-on race clutch. Yeah. So it'll handle the power but still be able to be driven nicely on the street. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the elephant in front of you right there.
Yeah, it sure is. I kept revealing it the further and further I scooted back. Check those things out, man.
Yeah, I mean, these are awesome. And if you guys aren't familiar with Spoon Sports, we've said we're using their Aero kit. We want to pair those with the Aero mirror as well. You can't really see it because they're behind some of our other Spoon parts up here, but the mirrors on these cars are pretty clunky and big. I don't hate the way they look. Some cars, they're terrible. The S2000 is actually, it's digestible. It's not an overly large mirror, but man, when you go with the Aero front and rear bumper, I think these are the complete package.
Yeah.
And these add a little more of a modern touch to the car. These are not fender mount. I know a lot of people looked at these here at the shop and thought these were fender mount mirrors.
Guilty.
They are not. They actually replace the stock mirror in the stock location and bolt into the stock holes. Body shop would prep these, paint them body color, slap them on, and they're ready to rock and roll. They do have a convex mirror shape, so you're gonna get a wider angle view when you look into the mirrors, and I will say that I've been driving this car. It does have some pretty gnarly blind spots. So these will help with that, and they're also a blue lens. It's gonna help keep some of the glare down and things like that. So a great addition to the car. It's gonna keep that Spoon Sports theme going and look cool while doing it.
How about these guys? We got two choices here. What's up with that?
Yeah, so to go with our Greddy exhaust system, it comes with a stainless steel tip, and this is the RS exhaust. This is their race style, and it goes from a dual tip to a single tip. So no longer will we have an exhaust coming out both sides. It'll only be coming out of one side. Well, we wanted to do something really special, so we purchased 2 of the Greddy exhaust tips that are an option for this exhaust. This is for anyone, you can do this. So if you buy a Greddy exhaust system, you can always change out the tips to different materials. They have stainless steel. These here are actually titanium. I went with the long straight and I went with a turn down. I haven't decided what look we're going for yet, so we got one of each, and we may even let you guys decide what we put on. But we also have a fun thing we're gonna do with those. We're gonna send those out and get those laser etched with the throttle logo as well. Really make this a special exhaust system, basically a one-off for this car. Paired with that rear Aero bumper,
yeah,
it's gonna look so sick.
Once we throw all the rear end together and then put this back here, we'll pull it, see what people think.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Moving further back, I don't want to get too far. I don't want to go past this. This is still in the packaging, a little bit difficult to see, but we didn't want to scratch it up. This is actually an authentic Spoon Sports roll cage for this car. And now there are a few roll cage options on the market, Will. We chose this one because this one actually goes in and doesn't interfere with the interior components. So
I noticed there's no diagonal bar or anything like that that's going to kind of really intrude in your already snug space inside of there, right?
Right, so a traditional race car, you would gut it and you would send it off to a roll cage shop, or you would order a roll cage online, a prefab deal. I mean, a lot of times that requires you to eliminate some of the interior functionality or components, such as the plastic stuff that allows you to have some storage, especially in this car where storage is very minimal.
Right.
This is gonna wrap around and utilize the actual factory bolt-in beam that runs behind the headrests of the car. Those are gonna stay. This works around that and allows you to keep the majority of your interior intact. For me, that was important because we want this to feel like a street car. We don't want to give away a gutted race car. That's not, that's not cool in any way, shape, or form.
Yes. I'd imagine, having to gut out a lot of the plastics and some of the sound deadening, this would be much more dialed towards the track and kind of just like the raw, rather than being able to possibly daily this thing with the things that we're throwing at this.
We have one other component that we picked up from our friends over at Evasive Motorsports. When you add a roll cage to S2000, as I mentioned, you lose a lot of your interior parts. Now this roll cage is meant to not, but if you do and you're in need of a way to keep your trunk release button and you want to keep your cigarette lighter, this is a component that will do that. This is a really cool piece that's actually manufactured specifically for basically a race car. You remove the cubbies that are between the seats and you move your trunk release and your cigarette lighter down to here, and it allows you to retain kind of a factory interior look. We're hoping that we don't have to use this. As much as I love this, I think this is such a really cool piece. You can literally send it off, have it upholstered in leather, put red stitching, whatever you want to do. Make it look like a stock part. I'm hoping that with this Spoon cage, we won't need to use this. We can retain the factory stuff because I want to give away a car that is super usable. This is just one of those things that if we have to go here, we have a solution.
I think this just shows how many times you've gone around building this car that you were just like, I'm going to have, this is a CYA.
Just in case.
Yeah,
yes.
Absolutely.
Just in case. We're going to get to some more parts from EVS or Evasive Motorsports. I want to shout them out because for the S2000 community, they have a lot of really awesome products available. This is just one of them. This is just outside the box thinking, and we need a solution, so we're just going to create it ourselves, and they did. So happy to have that here. Happy to be partnering with them on this project, and we're going to get to some more of their parts here as we continue back.
Now, of course, we're not going to brush past our Mishimoto radiator and fan shroud that we have here. We're going to be adding a Greddy turbo to this system, and of course, that gets things hotter.
Introducing a lot more heat, yes.
So we have our X-Line radiator from Mishimoto and this fan shroud that is paired with it. Straight blade, just gonna be a lot more air movement, really cool down this thing as best we can. We're actually pairing that with an oil cooler system with a thermostatic sandwich plate, which from what I understand, this thing does not open up the oil to the cooler until the engine is up to temp. Correct. That way it doesn't take forever to do that.
That's actually, like, a lot of people put oil coolers on, but they forget about this. This is important because otherwise you're cycling oil through everything.
And a cooler.
And a cooler.
A more efficient cooler.
It takes a long time for your engine oil to get up to operating temperature. So with this, it's gonna wait till it sees that temperature, the ball valve opens up, and then it starts cycling oil through the cooler when you need it, allowing the engine to get up to temperature faster, which is really important. A lot of people overlook that process and step. So happy that we're able to have that for this car.
We got new lines for that as well, and some silicone radiator hoses, of course, just to complement the additional components. I think that goes to show why we always choose Mishimoto for some of these builds. They've thought of things like this, and of course they have start to finish what you need in order to upgrade.
And this being almost a 20-year-old car, it's probably time for those hoses to be replaced anyhow, the old rubber hoses with some silicone. So we are going to be putting Motul engine oil in this as well as brake fluid. You guys know we love our Motul around here. Pretty much put that stuff in everything.
Yeah, it's our Frank's Red Hot.
Yeah, basically, again, we'll do a brake system flush. We do have a full complement of brake components going on this as well. So very excited about that. Moving back further, as I alluded to previously, we've got our EVS tuning, basically our suspension components that we're gonna be putting on. And I chose these for a reason. Some out of necessity and some just because I want this car to handle like a race car. And that's our roll center adjust kit. So we've got a front roll center adjust, we got a rear roll center adjust kit as well. And we've also got axle spacers. So S2000s suffer from a situation where when you lower them, it actually tries to pull the axles out of the differential because you're basically—
sound like a good thing right there.
Yeah, the geometry becomes not ideal. And what this package here does is allows us to set the car up where the lower control arms are actually flat to the ground, which is what you want. You don't want to see the arms like this. I know you guys have all seen those EGs and EKs on the freeway rolling around with all the bracing underneath, and you see their control arms like this. That defeats the purpose of handling for any car. This kit here will allow us to lower the car properly and get all the suspension geometry correct and within spec for what we want to do with the car, and that's carve some canyons or go to a track day.
Tails back to you saying that EVS has a lot of these engineered solutions for anybody who's trying to modify their S2000. This is stuff that normally people don't think of.
And if you notice, these are even offset, which is pretty cool. Like the factory part, this is actually in the center of these two holes. So they've got this offset for a little bit of camber as well, which is really nice. Really cool. I believe I want to say it's 3 degrees. I need to check the write-up again, but these are gonna be a great addition to this car and allow us to get it set up to handle really well, even though it's low. And that to me is exciting because I think our Mustang was kind of the same way. And that was ideally one of the best cars we've ever come out of this shop, I think, from a handling standpoint. Handling is important, and these RT660s from Falcon, this is their Azenas line. You guys have heard us mention these a million times. We use these on literally every car that comes out of our shop. This is, in my opinion, the pinnacle summer tire. Living here in San Diego, we're fortunate enough to be able to run these year round because we don't get snow here and we don't get a lot of precipitation. These things are super sticky and they last a long time and they have a fantastic aesthetic.
Yes.
And when you put these on the wheels and you mount them on the car and you just see these big bricks of rubber hanging out the side of the car, it's just such a great look aesthetically. They also perform to back up those looks. So
I'm glad I'm not the only one who thinks. Like the profile of these treads and the design, and then when you get on the road with these things and you just feel, you can hear the road sticking to these.
Look at that.
You can hear the road sticking to that. It's such a good looking and feeling tire.
And the great thing about them is you say you can hear the road sticking to them, and you can, but that doesn't mean they're a loud tire because they are actually quite quiet for as big of tread blocks as they have, which inherently, the bigger the tread blocks get, the louder a tire typically gets. This tire somehow doesn't. I don't know how that's possible, but they've figured something out. I don't know if it's the rubber compound or what. We love them.
Yes, we do. So as you guys can tell, we like to keep some of the build a surprise.
Yes.
Along with the seats, we also have some wheels, and we're keeping them secret until it's time to throw them on, I think.
The wheel that's going on this car is actually going to be available for you guys to purchase, and that is exciting to us because we're going to have basically the first set. We have the first set. Once we reveal those, we're going to launch them live, and you guys could also order them for your S2000 or other vehicles as well.
Now, the nice thing to know about that too is we're not widening this car at all.
No.
We're adding front and rear bumpers and a lot of aero, but the width, so these things are going to be tailored to a stock fitment.
Yep.
But it's most likely going to fill it out and be an aggressive but functional fit. which is going to be really important.
And back to the tire, one thing that we wanted to do was keep this a square setup. So we did run two 35/40s on all four corners. We got a nice meaty sidewall. It's going to allow the tire to perform properly and not just roll over. This thing is going to be a grip monster when it's done. And to add to the aero, we need to move around back because we did get the Spoon Sports aero rear bumper, as we mentioned when we talked about the front bumper, but we've also gotten one of my favorite pieces to this rear bumper, which is right here. This is a 1x1 twill rear diffuser. This is an add-on piece. This doesn't come with the aero rear bumper. The aero rear bumper is finished with or without this. Now, we are adding this component.
You ready for this? You ready for this?
This is so sick. Oh. So one of the things that I always hate about aero kits and stock bumpers in general is there's nowhere for the air to actually come out. You're basically putting a parachute on the back of the car. If the car doesn't have an underbelly tray to eliminate the air to get pocketed up in here, you're creating basically
a parachute, right?
A parachute.
Yeah.
Spoon has addressed that by opening this up. Now this allows us to run our, obviously our license plate lights and stuff like that, but they also open this up to allow that air to evacuate. Similar to the thought process on our Freak where we vented the rear bumper, to let that air out of there. Another really cool thing about this bumper is they actually use a stock towing cap for the tow hook and also stock license plate capturers, which you almost never get in an aftermarket bumper, so it's so cool. Now aesthetically, they've added these little guys down here. This is kind of its own diffuser in and of itself, but what's really cool is they make this add-on piece that actually just bolts right on here and it creates another diffuser, which to me, if you're gonna do this bumper, this is an absolute must because first of all, it's beautiful. You can literally hang this on your wall as an art piece. I think I actually put that on there backwards, I did. So this actually goes like that.
How dare you.
So it has a nice little turn up. It's gonna create a little bit of downforce for the car. To me, the downforce is one thing. Aesthetically, this is an absolute must-have for this bumper. So not to geek out too much on a rear bumper because at the end of the day, it is just a rear bumper. What I like about it is all the functionality that they've designed into this. Maybe you want to point out some of the things we've talked about.
I'm just looking down the profile of this and I'm noticing that there's almost like a ducktail wing built into some of the ledges on this as well.
It is.
I mean, I'm losing my balance just because I'm sitting awkwardly, but this thing is super light.
So it's negative here and it actually comes to like a point to a ducktail here. So that's creating a little bit of aero. They've also sharpened up all of these edges on the side as well to create actual areas for the air to flow over and create downforce. They've really thought this through and they call it the aero bumper for a reason, but the fact that it's a really aesthetically pleasing piece as well as totally streetable made it an absolute home run for this project because it's going to give it that track/street look that we're really after. So I can't wait to get all this color matched and on the car because I think it's really going to pop. You add this 1x1 twill to it. I'm excited if you can't tell already.
Yeah, and just look how how it's holding its own weight. It's structurally it's sound as well. So yeah.
And with all Spoon parts, it's gonna fit like an OEM part, which is really awesome.
Continuing on from that back bumper and some of the aero, it's kind of elongating a little bit past the taillights more than the stock bumper does. I think that's gonna go really well with what we're gonna do with APR.
Now let's be honest, this isn't the actual wing we're gonna be using.
Come on.
This is off of our Supra. We are actually gonna take a special trip up to APR. They're just up in LA, which is about 2 hours north of us here. But we're actually gonna custom build a wing for this car. And that excites me. We've never had the opportunity to actually go there and do what they do. And that's essentially make a custom wing for the car. They have all these components there in their factory and they literally will spec a wing to your taste. So we're gonna take you guys along for that journey. We're gonna go to APR, visit them for half a day or so and actually spec a wing for this car. We pulled this off just for the visual aesthetic so you guys understand kind of what we're going after. It is gonna be a GT style wing for this car. Full carbon, full APR, everything. And they've got a couple other bits that we're gonna pick up there as well, like a cooling plate for underneath the engine bay and also potentially some other carbon bits, but you guys are gonna have to stay tuned for that visit because we will introduce those at that time. And then last but not least, I mean, we talked about grip, we talked about all the suspension bits. We did touch on the fact that we would be using a Wilwood brake kit and we do have that here. Now this is only one of the 2 boxes because this car is gonna get Wilwoods on all 4 corners.
Stop and power. Need it.
I think we've only done a couple projects where we've replaced all 4 corners with Wilwood brakes. This particular car being a track/street car, we want to make sure it has optimal braking power to slow this thing down. With the additional horsepower that's going to have with the Greddy Turbo Kit, we want to make sure that that is paramount. So we're going to be upsizing the rotors and calipers on the front and rear of this car, and it should really add a great aesthetic as well. Well, as you can see, we've got an absolute mountain of parts here for this car, and if you can't tell the level of excitement from Will and I, you need to check your pulse helps because we have been wanting to do this for so long, and now is the time, and we've got all of the amazing stuff here to make.
All bases are covered. We've got stopping power, we've got power, we've got the sound from the whooshes from the turbo and the exhaust. We've got the handling, the grip, the aero. I mean, this thing is gonna be so top notch.
That's right. Dare I say, this might be my ultimate sweepstakes car, honestly. I am gonna be jealous of this when it's done, and I'm gonna drive it a few miles before we give it away. This is exciting for all of us, and we hope that that comes across in this video content because we are all excited.
So again, today is the start of a 2X entry period. It ends Friday. Head over to throtl.com, get yourself some merchandise, get your maintenance or your aftermarket parts for your car, and enter to win this car and $20,000 cash. We'll catch you guys on the next one.